Hey there hippies, welcome back. It's your girl Courtney Shavante here, back with another tutorial. Today's tutorial is going to be on this Bad Bitches Link Up makeup brush holder. We got some charms and some rhinestone chain going on here, and I can't wait to get into it. Before we do, make sure that you do hit that subscribe button for me and hit that notification bell so that way you are alerted every time I do make a tutorial and upload a video. Alright, so what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and prep our glitters and our mold. So I have this basic 9-piece mold, 9-hole makeup brush mold that I got off of Amazon. I'll be sure to link it below for you guys. And then I also have 4 glitter mixes that I made, each with different colors of pink, kind of going from all the way light to all the way dark. What I did was I added them in medicine cups, and then I added 10 milliliters of resin to each. And what you will see me do is just pour the resin glitter mix in from darkest to lightest. So in total you will have about 40 milliliters of that mixed resin plus the glitter, and you just want to make sure that you pour slowly and pour in a line so that way it doesn't blend too deeply into the other colors, so that way it doesn't ruin the ombre glitter effect that we are going for, which is really the purpose of splitting these glitters up this way. So as you can see, I'm kind of stirring as I go. I didn't mix ahead of time. I made sure that my resin was bubble free ahead of time, and from here I'm just like kind of mixing as I go, since I'm doing very small amounts, which is only 10 millimeters of each color like I said before. Alright, so here I'm adding on the last color, which has a lot of the red and the pink mixed in. I'm just putting that onto the top part. Now that top part that you see here, that is the most shallow end, so I am working this from the deepest end to the shallow end, which I also recommend that you do as well, just so that way when it flows like the resin naturally will, it will, you know, just kind of flow into its correct space, if that makes sense. It'll probably make more sense when I demold. So we're just going to go ahead and allow this part time to cure, let that stand for 12 hours, and then we're going to move on to our next step. So what I did was I pre-mixed up some black, because I am using this from a different project where I also used black. But in this one, I am going to be adding in some fine black glitter just to give it a bit more a bit more sparkle and a bit more pop and a little bit more dimension. And what I'm doing is I am filling this in, trying to aim in between those little crevices. I'm trying not to add too much on top of the little bottoms of these holes, these little 9 squares that you see here. So I'm getting as much as I can inside those little lines. And then you're just going to scrape at your cup and make sure you get all your resin out. Feel free to use your heat gun as well if necessary, so that way you can make sure that it's nice and bubble free and even. Use your popsicle stick to maneuver those pieces of resin down as well. Alright, so after we let that cure about 4 hours, it makes it nice and not completely firm, but it's nice and tacky. So the line of demarcation, I believe I said that right, please don't shoot me, but anyway, that line, you don't want it to be clearly visible, and the less time you wait, the less visible it is. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding in my glitter mix. I'm using black and pink glitter into just some regular clear resin, and then I'm going to be pouring that resin into the mold, and that's going to create my base layer here. So you want to make sure that you scrape all this resin out, and then you're also going to make sure that you take the popsicle stick and just kind of move it along the edges and everything, just so that way you can make sure that there aren't any lumps and bumps, and that's nice and even across the edge, since this is going to be sitting on top of a counter or workspace or vanity, just kind of whatever you decide to use it for. Alright, so of course once this part is done, we're going to do what we usually do. Just go ahead and spray with that alcohol spray. That's going to help release any bubbles that may be trapped by that glitter, and then we're just going to allow that to cure completely. Alright, so we give that about 24 hours to cure, and we gotta make sure it's completely hard. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and wiggle this to release it from the mold. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull at the sides and just kind of pull it down side by side by side, so that way you can get that mold to pop out. Now with that having little inside pieces, those little 9 holes that it creates, it does make it a little bit harder. So just take your time and everything. Try not to pop any nails or anything like that. Be careful. Alright, just a little bit more and we got it out. Alright, so perfect. This is how she looks. You can see what I'm talking about with that ombre glitter and everything. So what you're going to do now is you're just going to take out your rhinestone chain, and you're going to pre-measure it. I go around all 4 sides, and then I still cut off just like an extra 3 or 4 squares just to make sure that it's nice and flush and I have enough. I'm going to move the roll over to the side, and what you're going to do is you're going to take that E6000 glue and you're just going to place a line of that E6000 glue along the edge after you clean this off and make sure there's no oil residue or fingerprints or anything in the way. So yes, go ahead and open that up, and you just create that nice thin line. You don't need it super thick, you just need it thick enough to be able to hold that rhinestone chain in place. And then you're going to take your rhinestone chain and just place that on top. Only work one side at a time because this rhinestone chain can get pretty heavy and you don't want it kind of sliding across the glue as you work. I'm also using that toothpick just to kind of press down in between the different stones onto those flat pieces, and that helps to press it down nicely and firmly, so that way I'm not transferring oil from my fingers onto my casting, which is just going to make a mess of things later. Alright, so do be careful. It's going to dry. The E6000 does dry pretty quickly, so it's going to dry as you go. Just continue moving in that nice even line and using that toothpick to place your rhinestone chain down as you go. Alright, so once we got that rhinestone chain applied, you're just going to take out your pre-selected charms. These are available on my Etsy shop, some of them. Other styles aren't available quite yet, but definitely check out because I don't always return with a lot of the charms that I do. Some of these you gotta catch them while you can. But what I'm doing is I'm just placing a little bit of E6000 glue, and then from there I'm wiping each charm, and then I'm placing it on top of the E6000 glue and making sure that I have it exactly where I want it. You don't want to use too much glue because you don't want your charm sliding, but you don't want to use too little because then it won't hold the charm. So do make sure that you find that sweet spot so that we get everything applied on nicely. It's also pretty helpful to use a toothpick if necessary, so that way you can kind of dot on the E6000 onto your charms, or you can kind of do what I'm doing. I'm kind of creating a pool of that E6000 glue, and then I'm using my pliers to dip the charm, the back of the charm, and then I just place it onto my casting where I would like it to go. So this is kind of how the front looks right here. I'm just going to turn this over on its side. I'm going to do the same exact thing with the charms on the side after I decide exactly where I want it placed and everything. Alright, so just repeat the steps I was telling you before. Add that E6000 glue and then go ahead and place your charm, and then do the same exact thing on the other side. Alright, now that that glue is completely dry, we can go ahead and move on to our next step. So we are going to be painting a little design on the back of this, just because I didn't want the back of it to be just so plain, especially with all the charms and everything on the front. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding some paint into this needle tip squirt bottle, and then it's going to allow me to hand paint words on the back of here. So on here I'm just kind of doing some calligraphy and everything. This is very difficult to do on camera, so don't judge me for the turnout of this. I could not see. Usually I am like really close, but recording and the camera angles don't allow me to get as closely as I'd like to make sure I have this exactly how I want to. But yeah, you're still understanding like the basic concept of what I'm doing here. To clean up my messes, I just use a paper towel that has a little bit of alcohol on it, and then I just wipe away any part that I don't like and that I need to do over or that I mess up. So I'm just kind of going in and making adjustments as I see fit, adding in some ornamentation like some hearts and things of that nature, some exclamation points. Also, what I do recommend is making sure you don't seal the bottle so tightly, because what it'll do is it'll cause a lot of air pressure in the bottom of the bottle, and it'll cause your paint to come out like way more quickly than you need it to. And if you notice, I have some pools of paint in certain areas, especially that I had to go over twice, or that may require me to spend a little bit of time, such as where those B's are, or where the T crosses over, or at the top of the little loop where that L is on link. You can kind of see what I'm talking about on there. But if you don't close this tightly, which is what I did, then it won't pull and come out quite so quickly, and you're able to get those thin lines worked in how you need to. So you see how I'm adding in those hearts and everything that I was telling you about. I'm just using some basic acrylic paint here. You can use any acrylic paint that you do want to use. This is a gold color, and I'll be sure to tag it below for you as well, so that way you can find this exact one. And I'm just going to go ahead and fill in any spots that I do have. And once I finish with this, I'm going to make sure that I let this paint dry completely. After your paint has had a chance to dry, you're going to go ahead and take your UV resin and your alcohol and prepare that. I'm first going over the entire casting with a little bit of the alcohol spray, and that's going to make sure that it removes any oil, so the UV resin does cure completely. And then I'm just going to take that UV resin, I'm going to go over all my charms and all my metal pieces just to make sure that they're sealed properly, and this just helps to prevent any tarnishing or anything like that. So of course we're going to work side by side, so it's going to take a little while possibly, but what you're going to do is you're just going to let it cure under the black light or your UV light for about a minute or so, and then from there you're just going to keep repeating the steps onto the next side. Feel free to check with your nail or something else hard to make sure that it is completely cured. And you see me just kind of adding a little bit of UV resin directly on top of these charms. I'm not adding it over the entire front surface, just the charms, so I can make sure that they don't turn. And you're just going to continue doing this all across and making sure that it's nice and cured. And yeah, just keep repeating all along. Now, as I stated before, these charms and everything can be found in my Etsy store. I do have my Etsy store linked below, and I've also added a lot of great things on there as well. So we now have the insert foils available on the Etsy store as well, so make sure you guys do check that out when you're looking up your charms and everything that I have available for you, so that we can get bling blinging. Alright, so after that has had a chance to fully cure and everything, what you're going to do is you're just going to take a little piece of paper that I folded down just so I can cover those charms, and you're going to see me take this spray paint, this clear acrylic spray paint, and I'm just going to seal my writing because it's going to make sure that it doesn't come up and it's not easily scraped off or anything like that. So you're just going to see me, you know, do a short little spray coat, and then we're going to allow all this a chance to sit in the sunlight and dry and cure completely. Alright hippies, so this right here is our finished product. She is absolutely beautiful. I think she's absolutely perfect for the makeup lover, and you don't even have to use this for just your makeup brushes. It can be used for pens, for pencils, for your crafting supplies, just whatever you deem necessary. So I love how unique this makeup holder is and everything, and just the little charms like with the perfume and the lipstick and the pouty lips on the front. I love how this ombre glitter turned out, going from light to dark, and I love how that glitter base looks at the bottom with that black and pink glitter. This makeup brush holder is just absolutely to die for. And when you turn it around, I love the uniqueness of this calligraphy on the back. I love how that needlepoint bottle just allows me the options to really customize and add words on here the way I want to in my actual handwriting. So if this is something that you guys like and you hippies are loving this tutorial, make sure that you leave a comment for me below and also hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you guys. Bye now.